Alright, so it looks like my battery died, so my video got cut off, so sorry, this will be in two parts. But let's go ahead and basically continue what we were doing just now. So again, we were going over how to distribute something a little larger now. We were practicing how to distribute some smaller terms earlier, so let's keep going. Alright, so we have this -2 here that we have to distribute. So the positive 2. So 2 times m to the third is just 2m to the third. 2 times m squared is positive squared. 2 times -m is a -2m. And a 2 times 1 is a positive 2. Now, we didn't do anything with this -4m in the end, so I'm going to actually go ahead and rewrite it. Now, the reason why I'm rewriting it is because now, because I have distributed everything, I can now go ahead and go straight to combining like terms, which is what I'm going to do now. So, let's go ahead and see. First of the high exponents that I see here are that m cubed, so it's 2m cubed that I'm going to write down. The next one that I see here is the 2m squared, and I can't combine that with anything, so I'm going to rewrite it. Now, next one I see is this -2m and a -4m. Now, I can combine those two to get a -6m. And finally, 4, I'm going to put 4 little lines underneath that constant because it's the final term that I can write down in my new simplified expression. And notice I have fulfilled everything that was asked. This is in standard form. I have distributed, and I combine all like terms. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So right off the bat here, I see that this 7w squared, okay, that doesn't have to distribute with anything, so I'm actually going to go ahead and rewrite it. But this -4 does distribute, so that's -4 times 5, that's a -20w. -4 times -6 is a positive 24. And once again, this plus 9w squared is just at the end, so I don't have to combine it, or I'm sorry, I don't have to do anything with it just yet. But now I can actually combine the 7w squared with the 9w squared to get 16w squared. Next one I see here is this w, so minus 20w. And finally, this plus 24. Now, this is your final answer, but don't be tempted, guys, and I know some of you guys might have been doing this already on accident, but I know you'll be tempted to combine this and this, however, you cannot. Now, the reason why you can't is because this has a w here, and this does not, okay? Because it does not have a w, you cannot combine those two, so you have to rewrite them as separate terms, okay? The only ones you can combine are this 7w and this 9w. I'm sorry, the 7w squared with the 9w squared to get 16w squared. Okay, all right. So let me go ahead and erase some of these little dots over here. All right, so let's continue with this next one. So we're going to actually have to distribute twice here because we see two sets of parentheses. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to both those terms. So I'm going to get 18x plus 3 times 2 is 6. Once again, I have to distribute here as well. What's -7 times 5? That's -35. -7 times -2x is a positive 14x. So I have distributed. That was part 1. Part 2 is to try to combine these, or anything that is like terms. Okay? Anything that anywhere where I do have like terms, like here, for example, I can go ahead and add those. So what's 18x plus 14x? That is a 32x. And finally, I have my two constants. So 6 minus 35 is a -29. Okay, that one is officially done. All right, so again, guys, remember, distribute, combine like terms, but I suggest to you that you combine like terms in a way where you're combining anything with the highest exponent first and then going to the lower exponent terms. This way you can go straight to writing it in standard form. All right, so once again, let's keep going, and then I'm actually going to have you try one on your own. So what I actually want to do here is I want to skip to number 29, and then I'm going to actually have you try 28 on your own. But let's go ahead and move on to 29. So 29, this one here at the front, once again, I can't combine that with anything just yet because I have to distribute first. So let's go ahead and distribute our -4. So I'm going to rewrite my 1 because I haven't touched it yet. -4 times 3 is -12. And then don't forget your x. -4 times 9 is -36. Plus 6, because once again I didn't touch that yet, but I do have to distribute that -2. So -2 times 4 is -8 with an x. -2 times -7 is a positive 14. All right, now I can go ahead and start combining like terms. The highest exponents I see here are the highest variable. Again, remember these have a little 1 on top of them. So that's the highest one that I see right now. So I can combine those to -12x and -8x. That is what? That's -20x. Next set that I see is this 1, -36, 6, and 14. And let me actually put, whoops. Let me actually put 2 different lines underneath all the constants. I don't know why this isn't working. There we go. I'm going to put 2 lines underneath all the constants so I know which ones to combine. Now, this is something a lot of you guys might also do that I want you guys to really be careful with. This 1 here at the very front is not a -1. This negative here belongs to that term, okay? In front of here, even though you don't see anything, exists a positive. If there's ever no symbol in front of a number, then that means it's positive, okay? If we actually wanted it to be negative, we would have put a negative in front of the 1, but we didn't have a negative in front of the 1, so we know that it's a positive, okay? So it's a positive 1 minus 36, okay, that's -35. -35 plus 6, okay, that's a -29. And finally, -29 plus 14, that is a -15. Now, you guys can confirm this on your calculator. That's totally fine. Go ahead and type that all in. Type in 1 minus 36 plus 6 plus 14. And you can double check my answer. Make sure I got -15 correctly. Okay. So if you guys have checked that already, then you should see that this is correct. Okay, so we can go ahead and keep moving forward. Now, I want to do number 30 with you guys because I feel like it might be a little bit tricky, especially with seeing fractions there. But again, fractions is just something that you guys might be scared of now, but there really is no reason to be, okay? All we have to do is understand what it means to multiply by this fraction. So, right off the bat, I can tell you that this 3 is not combining with anything. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. All right, what I am going to distribute, however, is this 1/2. All right, so what do we have? We have 1/2 times 12x. All that is saying is, what is 1/2 of 12? Or if you take 12 and divide it by 2, what does that mean? Well, 12 divided by 2 is just a 6, right? So this is a positive 6x, and same thing with our -6. 1/2 times -6 just means what's 1/2 of -6. Or again, in different terms, what is -6 divided by 2? That is just a -3. And once again, our plus 4x I can rewrite because I have finished distributing. So once again, I have my 2 common terms, or my 2 like terms here. so that's a 10x. And finally, I have my two constants. So 3 minus 3, that's actually 0. So you could go ahead and write plus 0, but honestly, if you add 0, that's just the same thing as this number by itself. So it's just 10x. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead and pause the video and try out number 28. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that problem together with you guys to make sure you have the correct answer. All right, guys, let's go ahead and distribute this problem out. So right away I see my parentheses, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and distribute my 8. All right. So 8 times 8x is 64x. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Now, if you guys notice, this time I went straight to the parentheses, and then now I'm going to write my 5 over here and my 11x over here. Again, you could have dropped that 5 right away and that 11x right away. It's just a matter of how you want to do it. Just remember, you can't combine anything until you actually distribute. But now that we're done distributing, we can move forward. We have a 64x and an 11x. That gives us a 75x. Finally, we have a constant of 5 and a constant of negative 16. So 5 minus 16 is a minus 11. Okay, and once again, double check your work. Make sure you did that correct. That's how you should have had your answer. Now again, keep practicing, guys. If you guys notice that you're making the same mistake over and over again, make sure you ask or try to figure out what mistake am I making or why am I making it. Okay, make sure that each step that I've gone through makes sense, because if it doesn't make sense, then things from here on out are just going to get harder. Okay, all right, guys, so what I want you guys to do is go ahead and stop the video now, unless you want to go ahead and try this part challenge with me. All right, we're going to go ahead and try this one out to see how we do on it. But besides that, you guys can go ahead and stop the video and start working on section 1.2 homework, which should be very similar to what we just did now in this video. So if you need to, go ahead and rewatch the video or watch it alongside of your homework. That way you have an idea of how to complete it. All right, so let's go ahead and start this part challenge question now. Same thing as before, guys. Might look super intimidating, but honestly, it's the exact same thing we've been doing this whole time. All right, so we're just distributing. So let's distribute that negative 4 to all of those. So I get negative 4a minus 8b plus 12. All right, and again, I'm going to go a little bit faster because I think if you can try this part challenge, you should be pretty good at this by now. So let's just make sure we can continue at a little bit of a faster pace to make sure we get to our answer. Okay, so let me erase this real quick. All right, so distribute the 3. I get minus 6a. 3 times 2 is a positive 6 squared. Same thing here, distribute to all 3 terms. So positive 10a plus 6b minus 14. So just like before, we're going to go ahead and combine like terms, all right? And actually, because I want to make sure I don't write a ton of lines, I'm actually going to go ahead and highlight a few of these, okay? So right off the bat, I see negative 4a, negative 6a, positive 10a, and I believe that's it for the a's, okay? Next one I see is negative 8b and a positive 6b, okay? Next one I see is a constant of 12 and a constant of negative 14. And finally, I have a 6b squared all by itself. And actually, that is the highest exponent here, guys. So that's first one I'm going to write down. So 6b squared. So that one is done. All right. The next one I'm going to do is these b terms, because those are also a variable term. So negative 8 plus 6 is a negative 2b. So that one is done, and that one is done. All right. Besides my constant terms, I have these a terms, so that's going to be the next thing I combine. So what's negative 4a minus 6a is a negative 10a. And finally, we have the 12 minus 14, so that's a minus 2. So yet again, guys, we have distributed, combined like terms, and combined them in an order that allowed us to go ahead and go straight to standard form, from biggest exponent to smallest exponent. Okay? All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to section 1.3.